Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're watching. My name is Irene Eribo Ane, and I'm the CEO and founder of Ebony Ambassador UK. I want to use this opportunity to thank everyone for joining us this evening. This is another session of our Mental Resilient Workshop. We did this for 2 years, sponsored by the Big Lottery Fund, and we thought that there is need for us to continue even while the funding has ended. Today's topic is tagged skill acquisition and emotional well-being. We have 2 speakers in the house that will do justice to that topic today. But in the meantime, I just want to, first of all, thank you for being here and also give some house rule. And for those that are joining us for the first time, I will say a bit of who we are and what we do. This session is a recorded session. If you're not comfortable being on other platforms, because this will be shared on other platforms like our Facebook, our Instagram, and maybe Twitter, and it might be on our website. So if you're not comfortable being on all those platforms, please leave your camera off, but we'd love you at some time for your camera to be on, maybe during the end. But if you're still not comfortable with it, it's fine, it's not compulsory. So, and also, as we know, we want everybody to stay muted, and except you want to ask question, and we can use the icon here to either raise your hand and you'll be unmuted to ask any question that you want to ask. A quick one before we start, I would like to say who we are and what we do. Ebony Ambassador is a community interest company whose activity brings people together through learning skills, different workshops like we're doing today. We co-host Nigerian festival, anything that brings people together and makes them either better from the way they are before or improve in the skills that they've got before. So we've done a lot in the community, from running workshops, mental resilient workshops, skills empowerment workshop, and we are the founder of Miss Ebony Ambassador UK. And that's a creativity competition that we've hosted for 7 years. So I think I'll stop a bit of Ebony here now. And if you want to know more about us, our website is www.missebonyambassador.com. Although we're working on a new website, which will also be shared. And please, I want us to use the chat button to say who you are so that we'll get to network with you some other time. Just your name on the platform, and if you're representing any organization, please feel free to put it there. Like I will write, I'm Irene Eribo, founder Ebony Ambassador. You can write anything on the platform, and you get to connect with other like minds that are here today. A lot of people will be joining us later, as we said before. Some are on their way from work, some are trying to run up their day. They'll be joining later, but I want to appreciate you for joining at this time. And yeah, I think that's it from me. But before we kick off officially, I would like us to do a bit of icebreaker in form of a game. And if you have been joining our platform, you will know that there's always something to win when you participate in our activity. So the question today, you just need to write in the chat whatever the question I want to ask now, just put it in the chat. So I'll be looking at it to see if that's the right answer. And I won't say what the winning prize is, but there's always something to win. So the question I would want us to put in the chat quickly is, name 5 skills that Ebony has organized. You might be doing it for the first time. Any 5 skills, with the exemption of Auntie Victoria, who is one of our speakers today. 5 skills Ebony Ambassadors have organized, 5 skills empowerment or skills acquisition Ebony Ambassadors have organized, 5 skills. Use the chat, please. Five skills Ebony Ambassador have organized. Okay. Personally, I think I've seen a lot of new faces here today. If that is a hard one, let me change the question because I want somebody to go home with that prize today. Let me see who has put in something. If you're new to Ebony, I will know. Sewing, beading, hair making, cooking, and gilly. Okay. I will give it to, okay, someone says beading, baking, sewing, rhinestone embellishment, and hair braiding. Okay. Both answers are right. Both answers are right. Well done, well done. Both answers are correct. I'll give it to, don't worry, I will spin both names. Does anybody want to add their name to this list? I will spin both names later to give the prize to whoever is a lucky person. I want to spin the names because the gele, I think it's a long time we did gele. I don't know if I would say it's part of what we still do now, but all the same, mentioning gele is still fair enough. So we're going to spin the first. I'm going to spin both names to see who is the lucky winner. So that's about the icebreaker we're doing today. And without wasting any time, I will just call in the first speaker. If we have more time, we can play more games. It's Friday evening, at least most of us are not working tomorrow, so we can relax. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our speaker. And before I pass the imaginary mic to her, I would like to say a bit of who our speaker is today. Today we've got Vicky Olawiye. She's the CEO and founder of Dewey's Creation. I've worked with her, I would say for the past 9 years now. She's a mentor to me, and as we grow together, she's now the strategic manager for Ebony Ambassador. She's someone that I look up to when it comes to creativity, skills acquisition, name it. She's, I would say she's a one-stop shop, anything skills. If you're looking to learn anything skills, to acquire anything skills, she's the right person to contact. We're privileged to have her here because she's got a busy schedule, so it's a privilege to have her here today. Without wasting further time, I would like to pass the mic to Mrs. Victoria Olawiye. Over to you, Ma.
Oh, thank you, Irene. Good evening, everybody. I'm so happy and honored and privileged to be here. So without wasting too much time, as she has said, let's just get down to the business of the day. We are here to talk about skill acquisition and its impact on an emotional well-being. What a deep topic. I've thought about where do I start from? Because there's a lot to it. It's loaded, and it is very, very vital, especially at this season. I would first of all start by defining what is skill acquisition. What is skill acquisition? Let's even start. A layman definition. We don't want to go too much into the technical terms. Before I go further, Irene, how many minutes do I have before I start? You know, when I'm on.
25 minutes, ma.
Yeah, that's quite a lot. So, and while I'm speaking, and can I just say to everybody, if you have any question, just note it down. You can just put it in the chat. I'll first of all start by defining what skill acquisition is. One of the definitions that I can say I found is skill acquisition is the heart of learning to do something in order to earn a living or to survive. And the question comes to the mind, I'm not interested in that. I already have my 9-to-5 job. I don't need it. Well, let me just say it may not be for everybody, but we're talking about the creatives now, the people with the creative skills. Even if you don't have that creative skill, people that have the intention or they have passion for creativity, but they don't even know where to start from. Those are, let me just say, our target people this evening. And we have just defined what it is. It's the heart of learning to do something in order to earn a living and to survive. Not just surviving. I would say not just surviving, because emotional well-being is involved. There are so many people that are stuck with their 9 to 5 or even this so-called creativity, and they are not happy. They're just doing it to survive. That is not what we're talking about. We're here to talk about the good feeling that you get from the skills that you have acquired, that is giving you that joy, that fulfillment, that happiness, and it's having great impact on your emotional well-being. Because if you're not well, there's little you can do. And you know, when you're not well, as by virtue of maybe illness or something else, you know the impact of this on your happiness. And when you're not happy, you're not fulfilled. So then that makes the whole purpose to be, not to be, I mean, we are not going anywhere with that. So back to what we have said about skill acquisition. And I want to relate it to what we are all about here, creativity. And creativity may not necessarily mean, oh, I know how to sew, I know how to do this. It can be other things, because we are talking about the skills that you need to acquire to be able to earn a living, to do something, to feel happy, to feel fulfilled. Thank you. So now, and there are so many factors around this, because when you acquire that skill, it tells a lot about your personality. It has impact on your confidence, then your ability to do something. These are the things that you get when you acquire such skills. Now, back to creativity. I would define creativity as an art that enhances, according to a British journal that was published, I can't remember now, in one clinical, psychological, according to one study like that. They have found creativity to boost your positive emotion. That's going back to when you acquire skills for your creative passions. What does it do to you? It boosts your positive emotions, and studies and research have found out that it can actually reduce negative emotions, and it brings about general happiness. I'm somebody that is so passionate about anything creativity. I love it. Sometimes when I'm down, the moment I love to sew, I love to create stuff, I love to come up with anything. The moment I get on my pen, you won't believe that it's the same person. I just get on the move. It's as if somebody has just given me money, or I've just won a lottery. That's the kind of feel that you get. And you know, the fact that an idea came to your mind, you worked on it, you came out with something beautiful, you feel good about yourself. Those are the kind of things that it does to you. And another research in 2015, I think, according to a psychologist called Dr. Kathy, this one actually confirms that creativity can actually increase your positive emotions. It can lessen a depressive symptom. Creativity have been found, according to research, to reduce stress. Creativity reduces anxiety, and it can improve your immune system functioning. That's why sometimes you see that even the elderly, sometimes when they give them those books to color, they found from the research, it helps a lot, especially with dementia patients. They can see a lot of improvement because you're drawing, you're coloring, your focus is on what you're doing, and that's what it does. So the good feel that you get from it alone is more than enough. And that's why when you acquire such skills, you know the importance and the benefits of why you're doing that. Because a lot of people will find that they do the things and they don't even know why they're doing things. So, but when you acquire a skill that relates to what you love to do, it tells a lot about you. Then I want to talk about the emotional well-being itself. You know, when you're not well emotionally, it affects everything about you. The hormones are affected. Your stress will mount. That's when you start misbehaving, because everything within your system is affected. It's not only that, your environment is affected. For those who have families, then you start becoming edgy because you are not happy. The children will just be wondering what's happening to you. The partner is wondering what is wrong with you. Even at workplace, they don't understand what is wrong with you, because emotionally you're drained. You are not where you're supposed to be. That is why when you acquire skills that makes us feel good, makes us feel fulfilled, it tells on our emotional well-being. And there's something that I found out about the hormones. There's a particular hormone called happiness hormone. In fact, it's not one, there are about 2 or 3 of them. I'll just talk about 3 so that I don't bore you with too many things. This says what happens when you are happy and feel fulfilled. This happiness hormone, we have found out the body is capable of producing these happiness hormones by itself. So talk about dopamine. Dopamine, it makes us feel good. This is your achievement. We call it achievement hormone. You know, when you come up with something nice, something beautiful, maybe you like to you like molding something, maybe clay work, or you've just made a beautiful garment, or it can even be a poem. For those of us that are very good at writing, it can be some sort of creative stuff. When you see that thing, there's something that comes from within. You can't just explain it. It brings that good feeling. At that moment, you forget everything around you. In fact, there are times when I'm doing my creative stuff, I forget to even eat. I can be there from morning till night. You understand? Those are the kind of things so that means if you are not fulfilled in what you're doing, it can have a negative impact as well. So then there's another one called serotonin. That one has been found, according to research, to reduce depression. We don't have it all. Yes, thank you. There's endorphin as well. So there are so many of them, and they do different things. There's endorphins. I've written that down as well. It makes us happy and does help to reduce pain. You understand? So many things, so those are the things that we get from the skills that we acquire. Those are the things that the kind of fulfillment that we get from them. So what I'm trying to say is, when you're down, when you don't know what to do, just think of something that you love to do. Or even if you haven't started anything at all, but you wish, make your research. Talk to people that have done it before. And the good thing is we have the internet now. Every information is available at our fingertips. You can search for anything. And mind you, while you're thinking that, oh, I've got an idea that nobody else has done before, by the time you Google, you will actually see that somebody somewhere has done something similar. Do your research. If you need to go for a short training, go for it. If you need to learn something about it, go for it. If you need to ask questions, go for it. Because when you do that, when you now decide to go for what you want, you're happy, you're doing it, you feel fulfilled. That we're not saying that, oh, okay, creativity has the answer to it all. But at the same time, if depression can be reduced to lower rates. It takes you off the medication. I think we can give it a credit. We can give creativity a credit. And the question comes to the mind, are we saying that, oh, is it everybody that is creative? What about the people that are creative that are depressed? Well, we may not have the whole answer to that, but from what we are basing it from research and from what we have experienced personally and from the results of the people around us or the people that we have mentored in the past, we can see that after some time, you can see changes around them. You can see changes in their confidence. You can see that they are bolder. So if we can have like 60 or 70% results, I think we're doing a good job with that. Then there's something that I noted down again that we need to take note of as well. Another thing, when it comes to the good feeling, there's a good result. As a result of that good feelings, we can have a spike. There's a spike when you experience something that is pleasurable. That's what you get when these hormones are released. There's a spike. And when that spike is there, that feeling can be with you for only God knows how long. But for that moment, you know that your confidence is boosted. And that's one thing that I found out, especially for those of us who love sewing. When you are, by the way, sewing have been found to be therapeutic. There's something that I found out, even according to research as well, that I've experienced and from my experience with my students as well. When you're sewing, you know your focus is on what you're doing. It even helps your memory as well, because all you are after is the end result of what you're doing. You have an image of what you want to see afterwards. So as you're doing your thing, you don't want to be distracted. You're focused on it and you can't afford to miss it. So that alone has a lot on your mental well-being. Then talk of hand sewing, as you're going in and out, even the hand movements is a lot. It's a good exercise. You're going in and out. That's even a good exercise on its own. Then the focus, then the thinking, the memory, then the finished, after all that, then the finished products. I don't know about any other person here, but that good feel, I don't know the word to use to describe it. I'm always happy whenever I'm doing anything creative. I love to see, one of the things I do, I love to teach creative crafts as well. That's another thing. When I'm standing to teach from morning to night, I don't even feel anything. The purpose of all this is just to let us know that whatever skill you have acquired or you intend to acquire, they have a lot. You have your reason for wanting to go for that skill. You have your reason for wanting to acquire such skill. You have your reason for wanting to learn those things. And you have an image in your mind to see afterwards. So the fact that you have decided to go for what you wish to, what you love to do, the end result is the impact on your emotional well-being. And I can assure you, it goes a long way. You will be very much happy. And happiness, well, like they say, may not be in so many things, but that feel for that moment goes a long way. And let's not forget, there's a lot going on now in terms of the economy. It's unfortunate that suicide rate is on alarming rates now. What can we do? We may not have all the answers, but there are times when you love. There's one of the things that I learned recently about suicide prevention because I got to know that at that point in time, there's always that thing that is telling you that you're useless, you're nobody, you can't do, you're this, you're that. There's something that dampens your confidence at that point in time, that tiny moment. But why can't we, in a way, just opt for something that makes us feel good? Even if you're facing being bullied at some point, if there are times that you can even create something and some people will tell you they don't like it, well, that's a topic for another day. But you have done your best to impress the person or to feel this is what I've done and I'm happy with it. But notwithstanding, if that person chose not to like it, maybe for whatever reason, maybe they opted for color black and you decided to use, for whatever reason, you decided to use a different color and the person doesn't like it. So that's a different issue entirely. But that shouldn't make you to feel so weighed down and hate everything about yourself. The fact that you've gone out of your way, you've invested your efforts is creditable, so that if nobody even says, oh, you've done well, give that credit to yourself. Let that dopamine, let it do its own job of making you feel good. Whatever every other person say. I'm not saying that we shouldn't embrace criticism at times. Sometimes it's good it's a part of challenge that we need to work on, to improve on our customer services or whatever. So, I mean, we should give people to express their opinions when it comes to things like this. But we are talking about yourself now, your personal person. So I will leave that for now in case, I don't know if people have questions. I want to check if there's anybody that has a question. But if you have a question, you can just raise your hand or let us know if there are things that you need to know. But I think so far, what I've tried to do is to just let us know the importance of acquiring skills. For those of us that even we enjoy our normal 9 to 5, but it's always good sometimes to have a side skill. It doesn't necessarily have to be sewing. It can be even IT. It can be computer literacy. It can be baking. It can be anything aside, because this is one thing that brings out the talent, that brings out that personality out of you. It's a talent that you try so much to work on, and that is meant to bring profit to you. Like I defined earlier on, that creative skill acquisition is the art of learning to do something in order to earn a living. And I tell you, from skill acquisition, we have millionaires that have been raised out of this. It may just start as something little, and before you know it, because of that trade secret that you have to the skills that you have acquired, it puts you on top. I remember I met a lady sometimes ago. She said she was made redundant. I think she was an accountant or something, top accountant. And somebody somewhere just told her about baking workshop, just normal workshop that people go to. I think it was even free, I'm not sure. And she decided to go for it. I tell you, as I'm talking, she's a well-known baker in the whole of the United Kingdom. That can be you, that can be me. What if she had decided to just sit down and be feeling miserable? I've just been laid off. I think and she might just slip into depression for no reason. One thing that that skill acquisition does for you is it makes you to think fast. You don't want to remain on the ground. I've just been laid off, or this, that have happened to me. Don't remain on the ground. Think of something. What do you love doing? While you're waiting for your next job, you can acquire a skill. There are so many people that find themselves let's say people in the United Kingdom, that is the skills that they have acquired from back home that I can say is really helping them now. or the skills that it's why they're waiting for this, or they have just finished from uni, they're still trying to figure out what to do. A lot of things are happening now. We need to acquire skills. So not only to put food on our table, for our well-being as well. So I leave that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie Vicky. Truly, the last statement you made is something I wanted to say immediately after you finish your speech, which is the skill we're talking about that one needs to acquire is not just for making money, it's for your well-being. Because let's take the simplest one, which could be like hand sewing. We're not saying you need to sew and start being a fashion designer and make dresses for people. No, just for you to be able to amend your ripped skirt, trousers, shirts is fulfillment. And it brings that happy, I don't know the right word to use, that you talked about when you were naming or mentioning the dopamine, the the endorphin, all of them in the body that makes you feel a bit better than what you were before. So truly, it's not about the skill acquisition to make money, but just for you to find fulfillment. We're talking about well-being today. It's just to make people feel better than what they were. And truly, why we kick off this again, we've done these sessions for 2 years now, sponsored by the Big Lottery Fund, but we thought there's need for us to start it again with or without funding. The reason being, there's a lot happening in our community today that has led to suicide and also depression. It's from depression that people felt like there's no help anywhere that led to suicide. So we want to help in any little way that we can from conversation like this to see how we can reduce the thought of even being depressed. I know you can be down, we can be moody sometimes, but to the extent where you want to take your life is something that we want as an organization want to see what we can do. And we think from conversation like this, as we said, this is being recorded, it will be shared on all our platforms for people to hear. And if it comes to learning skills, Ebony is there. We'll be running workshops. They are all free workshops. We'll be running workshops from sewing, beading, makeup, rhymes and embellishment. It's free to join. As I said, it's not necessarily for money. It's the fulfillment that you get that you've made something. And to Victoria, I can relate to when you talk about sewing. I sew as well. Once I'm on the machine, you want to see the finished product of what you're doing. So whatever you're thinking about, you don't even want to go and eat. You just want to see the end of what you're making. And it's applicable to other skills. So when we say skills acquisition, it's because our organization stands for skills empowerment. Everything we do is skills, skills, skills. So once again, I want to say thank you, Auntie Victoria. You actually hit the nail on the head. And if you have any question or contribution as well, because we can't know it all, if you have contribution, please raise up your hand and we'll allow you to speak. And if you feel you have any question and you cannot talk where you are, please put it on the chat. We'll read it out. And if there's no question, I have a question for Auntie Victoria. But if there's question, I will read it out. But if there's no question, I will throw one question to her now. Then we'll move to the next speaker. As I said, this program will be brief. We intend to call it a day at 8:30. So hopefully we'll keep to that time. So my question to Auntie Victoria is, what do you think, or what will you say to someone who feels skill is not my thing? When I talk about skill, craft that we do here, what will you say to the person if he or she on this platform says skills is not my thing? And today we are discussing skills acquisition and emotional well-being. What will you say to the person?
Thank you very much for that question. Like I said earlier, skill acquisition is not about sewing, even though from my definition, I said is an art. I said it's the art of learning to do something in order to earn a living. So it doesn't necessarily have to be craft. It doesn't necessarily have to be maybe, general craft sewing, but skill acquisition can even be any training. You don't like anything craft, you might be good at IT. computer literacy, anything you can think of. What do you love to do? What do you love to do? And a side thing that you can acquire to be, well, to be, let me say, to impact your generation, your community, and yourself. So any new thing that you can let, it can even be skill upgrade. Because I could remember some of all our aunties that came from Africa years back. Some of them, maybe when they left, all they knew then was how to use typewriter to type. And since they have been there, it may sound somehow, they've been so carried away with so many do this work, do that. They don't even know how to send a text message. You need to acquire. It's not at that point, this kind of skill that you need is not sewing. You need to upgrade your knowledge. Even business skills. You need to acquire anything you need to do to take you from where you are to make you better. Even if you don't want to earn a living from it, well, that's totally up to you. But at least you can use it for something. And it makes you feel good about yourself. We are talking about your emotional well-being. What you can do aside what you normally do to make you feel good and fulfilled. That's my word to such a person.
Thank you, Auntie Victoria, for that. I agree to that. And when I was opportune to speak at an event last 2 weeks, and I was also doing research on skills acquisition. And when we talk about skills, we talk about talent, right? You can interchange the words, either your skill or your talent. And I came across God-given talent. And in reading further, I saw that even making your bed is a talent. And there's a researcher that said that if you can wake up in the morning and make your bed, it starts the day. So for a lot of people who are down, depressed, or not feeling too well, they might take that very lightly, but it's very important that you wake up in the morning, know that your bed needs to be made. And people are actually making money from it as well, those that work in hotels. So they go there to make bed. As you said, to answer my question, like anything that you do to improve yourself is gaining a new skill, acquiring a new skill helps you a lot. Like instead of you staying down or feeling depressed or feeling not too happy with the position that you are, then go and learn a skill, go and learn something, go and study, go and do something more that will make you better, so that at least we'll be able to look after our emotional well-being, because that's the key of why we're doing this today. We want people to feel a bit lively. I know there's a lot, recession, increase of food, water, name it. But once you're doing something, your mind is busy. It makes you better. It keeps you going. There's this common slogan in Nigeria that says, "Wahala not the finish," like problem does not end, like it's different level. So for us to be able to manage the problem that we face in our daily life is for us to be busy. And busy will say acquire a skill. Don't wait too long in that position. So once again, I want to say thank you, Auntie Victoria. Thank you for the words that you shared. And on the chat, I see Kate says, skills acquisition is therapeutic. I agree with that 100%. It's very, very therapeutic. So thank you so much for that contribution. As I said, if you have any questions, she will still be here. You can jot it down or say it at the end, but I would like to introduce our next speaker. She's no other person but Abby. I call her Abby Amfam. She's so associated with the name of her organization that I even forget her surname. So it's either I call her Abby or I call her Abby Amfam. And when you talk about creativity, she's there. She's, I don't know, they said like mind attract. So I think we attract each other because of what we do and what we love doing. It's a pleasure to have her here today because of her busy schedule. But before I give her the mic, in my imaginary mic, I would like to say, I want you to share your background, because I saw a lot of new faces. I know you've shared it on this platform, but please share your background, how you move from what you used to be to where you are now. That will encourage a lot of people on this platform. Over to you, Ma, and welcome again.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Irene. Thank you for giving me the opportunity again. Can you guys hear me very clearly?
Yes, ma.
Okay. Do you know what? They say great minds think alike. I said, I know Sister Victoria would have started off with the definition of the topic and she would have gone into that. So I said, I'm just going to come here and I'm going to tell you guys who I am and what I've been through. And literally, some of the things that I've learned on my journey and where I am today. I'm still not a billionaire or a millionaire. I haven't got there yet, but I'm crawling up there. And being a millionaire doesn't make you happy, and being rich doesn't make you happy. So, okay, my background is, I used to work for Cable Wireless as a senior system analyst, and 2008 sickness hit me one way or the other. I'm one person, I don't shy away from what I've been through. I believe if I open up and I tell people what I've been through, a lot of people will learn from it and they will also check themselves out. So let's hit it on. 13 years ago, I'm counting now, 13 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer, bowel cancer. And honestly speaking, how I found out was, one, I was not myself. I was just so tired, and I could drive from, let's say, I don't know, Elephant and Castle to Peckham and then park the car and sleep for about 30 minutes to gain my energy back. So I'm like, this is not me. I'm very energetic. I need to sort. One time, even a parking attendant said, are you going to put in? I said, I can't get out. Take the money, you put it in and bring the ticket to me. That's how bad it was. But I kept going back and forward to my GP. Back and forward to my GP. It'll send me up. Eventually, I stopped eating red meat when I was on a diet. So all the doctors were saying to me is, because you don't eat red meat anymore, your hemoglobin is low. So I'm like, okay, go and eat red meat. It made it worse. That was 2000. So throughout 2008 up to 2009, August, I was in and out of hospital having a blood transfusion every other week. 5 units of blood. They'll give me blood this week. A week I'll be fine. The following week I have to go back again. So eventually I had a go at the senior gastrology doctor and I said, look, I know my body. You don't want to do this test. You have to do this test. And he goes, you know what? I'll do it and I'll prove you wrong. And that was the time we had swine flu in the hospital. So they did the test, came back out, stage 3 bowel cancer. Now, as a Christian, I'm like, God, if it is cancer, let it be stage 1 or stage 2. When you start getting into the stage 3, you're petrified, you're scared. Oh, I'm going to die. The moment you hear the word cancer, I'm going to die. Listen, guys, I am not going to lie to you. I had the same thought. There is, as much as I'm outspoken, there is, blood going through my veins. And the thought will happen. So the thought was like, yeah, you're going to die. The moment I found out, how I found out I had cancer is, just listen to this. So I went in for a routine checkup, for a scan. And I had very deep veins. I still have deep veins. And they're looking for my vein. This gastrology doctor came in, found the vein, put it in, and then while they were putting the dye through my body, it popped out again. So they had to call the doctor, and I said, well, what ward is he on? I'll come and meet him. Oh, he's doing his ward run. I said, I'll come and meet him. And I went round to go and meet him. And while I was there at the lift, so they said, let a porter take you there. And I'm like, no, I've been in this hospital. I've had so much blood transfusion. I know all the wards. I'll walk there myself. So I walked down there. And I'm standing waiting for the lift. And there's a sheet of paper in front of me. So I'm looking at this sheet of paper and I'm like, oh, let me just read what they've given me. And on the top of it, it said pathway to colorectal cancer. I'm like, who are they looking at for colorectal cancer? I don't have cancer. That's the first time it registered. Then I'm like, oh, this is the wrong sheet of paper. Your mind plays with you. This is the wrong sheet of paper. Let me look at the name. My name's up there. Okay. This is still an error. Let me check the date of birth. I checked the date of birth. My date of birth is there. I'm like, God. Therefore, let me just check the hospital number again. I'm looking at all of it and I'm like, and then I pressed the lift. I'm waiting for the lift to open and the lift came. And I stood there. I froze at that moment. And what went through my mind is, you got cancer. and you're going to die. And people are going to know that you died from cancer. And I remember the woman, the nurse, saying, "Are you coming in?" Every word she said, I said, "In." She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "K." And I just ran down the stairs. This is me waiting for a lift. Then I ran down the stairs. And at that moment, I'm thinking, I'm right in front of King's College Hospital. Let me run in front of a bus and let them say that I died from a bus knocking me down and not cancer. And when I got downstairs, I stood there and I'm like, okay, how am I going to do it? Because you plan this strategy yourself. And I'm like, okay, I see a bus coming down, I'll speed onto it. And then something at that moment, because Victoria said something, at that moment, it's just a split of a second. So it said to me, what about if the cancer doesn't kill you? And you go and kill yourself before then? I'm like, oh, okay. And then I stood outside the front door of King's College Hospital. And there's no matter how deep or what you're going through, one way or the other, somebody will show up. And I work with a lot of young people. So this young girl, who is my ex-neighbor's friend, looked at me. She goes, "Auntie." I'm like, "How are you?" And she goes, "Auntie." And I was not myself for that moment. She goes, "Auntie, are you okay?" And she knows how I am. And I'm like, I think I've got cancer. And she goes, "Have they told you it's cancer?" I'm like, "Well, look at this sheet of paper." And she goes, "Auntie, even if they found cancer, let's go to the ward. Let's go back up there. They haven't told you it's cancer. And even if it is, you don't know what stage it is. You don't, if there's treatment available." And she said all that to me. And we walked back into the hospital. That's where my journey started. When I went in there, the nurse then said, "Are you the cancer patient?" I'm like, God, why are they associating me with cancer patients? "And are you the cancer patient that coming to see the doctor?" I'm like, I am the patient, but I'm not the cancer patient. "Oh, okay." And these people work with people who've had cancer and they know we can be very in denial. So she's like, "Okay, sit down. The doctor will be with you." And then he goes to me, "Is it the chemo?" This is a doctor. He's not reading his notes. "Is it the chemo that you've been taking that is making your veins deep?" I'm like, "What chemo? I'm not on chemo." Well, it all started adding up. And then 2 weeks later, after that day, 2 weeks later, I was then told by the consultant who actually operated on me that is cancer. So for 2 weeks, let me tell you something. He was so angry at how I found out, because when I went to see him, I said, they'll give you a box, they put a box of tissue in front of you. I just pushed the door. I said, "I've cried. I'm not crying anymore. What can be done?" And he goes, "Oh, what do you mean?" I said, "I know it's cancer." And you know what? We're very quickened to use our phone. So I've Googled it. It came back and said the size of the tumor. The size of the tumor they found in my bowel was as big as a grapefruit. And you know how big a grapefruit is. So it was that big. I had a 10.5-hour operation. I then woke up. I think it's 3 days. I don't know when I slept. When I woke up. But then I was told I can't walk. I can't get out of bed. I was bedridden. They said for about 3 months. The day I woke up and I was aware of where I was, I told them there's blood smelling all over me and I want to stand up and I want them to change my bed sheet. And they're like, "You can't stand on your feet." And I remember the consultant coming down and saying, "Look, Abby, just relax." I said, "No, I'm smelling of blood." And they went to go and get, I think it's called the sliding, whatever, they slide people on in the hospital. And I'm like, I ain't getting on that. I'm a big woman. You guys, look how small you are. And as much as I was sick, I was still joking. And I was scared, don't get me wrong. But my daughter was 9 years old. I remember my middle son, who's now 27, said to me, "Mum, you have cancer, but not cancer. So I said, "What's cancer? He said, "Cancer like cancer, and I said, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to die, but I am going to die one day. I don't know if it's going to kill me, but I will do whatever I can do to fight it. And that's where my journey started. I then had to have 12 cycles of chemotherapy. Just 1 minute. Welcome back. I'll see you later. Yeah, sorry, my daughter's just come back from uni. I had to start chemo a day after my birthday. Because of my deep veins, I had to have PICC lines in. They put one on the left, it collapsed. They put one on the right, again, it collapsed. Eventually, they put a central line in. I don't want to go too much into details, but it was rough. And then if that wasn't enough, the chemo then damaged the nerves in my legs and in my hands. Once upon a time in my life, I would hold, let's say I would hold like my phone, and it would slip out of my hand and my hand would stay like this. And everyone goes out to work. I'm sitting at home. I was told, my GP said to me, this is it. And the pain I was in was so much that it was just too much to bear. Like, what can I do? And I remember my husband saying, let's go and see your mum, because my mum had to come over to come and look after me. And children, as much as we look at them as kids, I went to my aunt's shop in Nigeria, in Lagos Island, and she said, Mom, the sun's too much. Can I just stay here with Auntie? And I said, okay, I'm popping over into the market. And there was a woman doing beads on the floor there, next in the shop. And in Nigeria, they just put their beads in a tray and start doing stuff. So she was doing it. My daughter was looking at her. And when I got back, she goes, Mom, can we go out and buy beads? I need to make some bracelets for my friend. I said, oh, don't worry, we'll buy the bracelet. She goes, no, Mommy, I want us to make it. I'm like, I don't know how to make it. She goes, Mom, I've seen that lady do it. She does it. You just get elastic and you tie it. So then the people around, they were saying, oh, they send them, they'll go and buy it. We bought the beads in the hotel. I've still got that photograph till today of about 9 bracelets that my daughter had on her wrist. And that's where my creativity, and I realized that when I was doing this, I was so calm. Some of the painkillers that I was using, I didn't have to take. And I'm like, hold on. Like, I'm sitting down, I'll get up now and again, but the pain was reducing. The pain wasn't reducing. My mind was no longer on the pain. My mind was on this work I was doing. So when we came back to London, if there was someone's birthday or my daughter's friend or the teacher, we always made something. I didn't go out and buy anything. And that's how Abby and Fam was born. It was born out of pain. And I must say, it's taken me places that I would not even dream of getting to. But once I'm in my creative mode, I do beyond. And like Sister Victoria said, like, the finishing part, I'm one person. I could be doing a necklace upstairs and then come downstairs and leave that one. But the necklace I didn't finish downstairs, I'm going to sit on there. And you know what? You could be dozing off. And the moment you see this, oh, this will take me about 10 minutes. Let me just finish it. And you'll finish it and you'll see it. And then the good part of it, when brides are wearing your stuff, when people who are having big celebrations and they're not going to Selfridges, they're coming to you to buy your stuff and they're wearing it on their big occasion day. You think like, I didn't go to school for this. My background is IT. I do beads, I do sewing, like Sister Victoria said. One of the things I realized this summer, sometimes you don't, as a trainer, you don't know how much impact you're having in someone's life. And there was this particular, we did 6 weeks training over the summer holiday with children. And I met one of the moms in Morrison and she goes, we've seen your work. Even her husband was so amazed because they've had a sewing machine and she uses it, but her children, the oldest is 14 and there's like a 10-year-old and she's never gone near the sewing machine. And the dad came back from work one day and he looked at her and said, what are you doing? What are you doing on the machine? She goes, Dad, I know how to thread the machine and I can sew this cushion. So the dad put his hand on his chest and go, okay, do it, let me see. And he was so amazed what she was doing. And she finished the cushion. She goes, see, I told you, Dad. So, and as we said, Auntie Victoria said, like, your skills, you don't have to acquire sewing. You don't have to acquire beadwork or fan making, or literally people like, let me use 805. I know the guy, I know him as, I call him an uncle. Well, he's not relative, but I call him an uncle. And once upon a time, we went in to ask him, how did he start? And he said the Monica fish that they make there, his wife used to do it for him every Friday when he finishes work. He used to work for Southwark Council, and he took his retirement to open up the 805 on York Kent Road, and before he expanded out. But can you see, it's not sewing, it's just a dish the wife made for the husband at home, and now it's on a menu. Even if you don't go to 805, you go to Lee Joint on the York Kent Road, that fish is there. Any African restaurant you go, Monica is there, but it started off in someone's house. And that's what we're saying to people, like, you don't have to be skilled to be crafty or anything like. And put it this way, one thing I've learned, one thing I personally have learned about what I do is that you got to believe in yourself first. I can sit with 10 people and share you and tell, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And you look at me and go, you're wasting time. As Sister Victoria said, 10 other people have done it. But you know what? What is going to make mine unique? There is a market out there for everyone. Yeah. There is a market out there for everyone. And you know what? This is one thing that keeps me going. When I was young, we were all born over here, and then we went to Nigeria. I used to see an uncle who would carry a portfolio, and he would be going up and down. And all the Nigerians, they used to call him the Baba London because of the way he speaks, or Baba this and that. And I used to look at him, and I'm like, one time I said to him, Uncle, what's in that your portfolio? And he goes, don't worry about that. And I'm like, no, I want to see what's inside there. And he opened it up for me. And to me, it looked like rubbish. But to him, he had everything written down. To the extent of like what he wants to do on a daily basis, it's in there. Now, when he goes out, he presents himself that he's carrying a portfolio, he's a businessman, he's doing this. But if he shows the real world what's in that, it was just pieces of paper. And I always say to people, he's got it down. It's in a piece of paper. And honestly speaking, out of that, he built houses, not houses. Now, some of the things I'm going to say next. So I've told you a little bit about myself. Well, some of the things I want to say now is something towards the emotional well-being. And I'm using myself again. So I'm on chemo. Chemo is hard. It's just a drip, but it kills the bad cells and the good cells. And I had to have 12 cycles of it. And as Sister Victoria said, like, my body was sick, innerly sick, internally, but my appearance doesn't need to show that I'm sick. You understand? Like, I will still have my makeup on, even though I'm not going outside. Even if it's just a bit of powder, I'll put it on. Even if it's not a bright red lipstick, I'll just put like lip gloss on. You understand? People will come and see me in my old house. If you walk into my garden outside, excuse me, I could see you in my sitting room, and people were like, wipe off your makeup now. You know, we're going to see somebody that has cancer. I can hear you. You coming into my house, coming to tell me, oh, you want to look sad, so that's why you have to wipe your makeup off. It don't make sense. These are things that people shut down and don't tell you I'm sick. So when you hear that somebody passed away or they didn't tell anybody, these are things that we do either deliberately or we just don't even know we're doing it, that someone will shut down. Or somebody tells you, oh, I've been diagnosed with cancer. The first thing, yay, hey, and you start dramatizing. Listen, that's it. You're not going to hear anything else. When somebody tells you I'm not well, they're not looking, especially if they're open, they're not looking for you to be, they don't want your sympathy. They want your empathy. How can I help? Wow. What is the diagnosis? I don't know anything about it. And sometimes they just want to listen. They want you to listen to them. And I feel like within our Black community, we don't listen. I also had brain chemo. So chemo got inside my brain when you go for chemo. And honestly, once I've had chemo, the things that I was seeing were not real. I think I shared this with you, Irene and Sister Vicky once. Like, I'm climbing up my stairs. By 10 o'clock, if I'm not lying on my bed, I feel like they're worms. The banister of my stairs becomes worms. It becomes snakes. And I've got to crawl past it. Now, this is an imaginary thing that it's not real because chemo's in my brain. But I had to deal with it. And I remember telling a lady that I need to speak to the nurse, and she goes, what for? She was on chemo too. And I told her, she goes, don't tell them. They're going to send you to see a psychiatrist. Like, she told them and they've put her through psychiatry. And I'm like, okay, so what about these things? I'm saying, she goes, they're not real. They're not going to stay around. It's just why you're having a chemo, darling. It's going to go. And I'm like, but I need to talk to somebody. Now, if I talk to my family about it, they are going to pray. Cast out the demons. At that moment, I don't need that. And this is what's killing us, that we can't talk. Somebody's telling you, I feel down. What do you mean? I'm just feel overwhelmed. Everything is just too much for me. And now, come on, step out of that now in Jesus' name. Or you say, Inshallah, come on, get out of it. Before you know, now, guys, I am a Christian. I believe in God. I believe it's God that has kept me from where I am till today. But too much godly things, it's killing our society. I've told you, when I heard that I had cancer, I wouldn't mind dying, but I didn't want people to know that I died of cancer. So this is the problem what we ourselves are causing. Somebody's come up to you, maybe they started something and it didn't work out well, or a friend has betrayed them, and they'll say, you know what, let her go. At that moment, be careful what you say to that person, because what you say can either damage that person or make that person strong. So sometimes if you don't know what to say, it's like somebody whose husband died or wife died, and you say, in Jesus' name, it's going to be okay. At that moment, it's not okay. She's just had lost a loved one. Yes, the Bible says, through it all, we should thank him. But at that moment, you thank on their behalf, but don't say it out. It's like somebody, I went to a place once, the woman has died less than an hour ago. And the friend that was praying for the husband that he shall not live by himself for the rest of his life. His wife has just died. What kind of prayer is that? So you're telling us already the white man is going to remarry. So we need to be very careful about how we word things, how we say things to people. When I was sick and my sisters will come round, we'll go out and they might be pampering me. If I cough, are you okay? Do you want this? And I had a handkerchief. I just flagged my white handkerchief, and they know that means back up, back away. Back away, just at this moment, I'm okay. Now, most of the things that I feel like kills people before the illness even kills them is the fear. Is the fear. And also, another thing is denial. They've told you you have cancer, or they told you you've got an illness that can kill you. It's like somebody who's an alcoholic, and you say, going to rehab. You can put that alcoholic into rehab. That doesn't mean until he wants to come out of it himself and is ready to fight it. It's different. So I personally would say, and Irene, please forgive me for this, and Auntie Vicky too, because you guys are. I'm a Christian, but sometimes we go and tell the wrong people. Now, when somebody has cancer, yeah, and you're on chemo, your white blood cells are low, right? Then they will tell you there is a prayer meeting, a prophet is coming, he has healed certain people with cancer and all that. You come, and you've just had chemo, but you're on your week. So when I was on chemo, I had chemo this week, and I had a week off, and then I go back again. So that week that I'm off, they're checking my vitals. Has my, hemoglobin gone down? Is my white blood cells gone down? All that. And then they say I need to come. And I go. There's a pastor, he's passed away now. He had bowel cancer, same stages. When he left hospital after his operation, they said the prayer warriors are coming to pray for him. 2 of the prayer warriors had a cold, and that guy got the cold, and that's what killed him, not the cancer. Sometimes I feel like we're so over religious. The Bible says no weapon formed against you shall prosper. I know, but when the weapon comes, the Bible also says that you will face trials and tribulations. So let's level it out. It's not about someone is putting a spell or an illness on you. Every one of us online today has got cancerous cells in our body. Something will trigger it off to let it become cancerous. We all have it in our body. But there's a reading that they'll start reading into. I'm not a medical person, but I can talk a little bit about it. These are things that we don't know. Symptoms that you look out for. You're tired all the time. Sometimes we do, as Vicky said, 9 to 5, yeah. But when you come back, do you see yourself doing that 9 to 5 for the rest of your life? If you're happy with it and you enjoy it, keep it going. It puts food, but if you're doing a job and it doesn't put food on, it puts food on your table, but just about it. Ebony Ambassador, Abby and Fam, Sister Vicky, we're all saying that you can change. This year, I went to Lagos to go and see my mom, and I sat, those who know Nigeria very well, I sat at Ladipo, Mushin, right? And we got there around 10. Come and see people driving, pushing themselves, people doing shoes, people doing this, coming out to buy stuff. When I go around places, I observe what's going on. And I'm going to say this, no one's too old to learn a skill. No one is too old to learn a skill. My oldest student was 81 years old, and she didn't just learn, I think Maureen, I don't know if that's the Maureen that I know, but one Maureen's online. She didn't just learn, she sold. She'll make the necklace and people are buying it off at 81. So don't look at yourself and say, I think it's, can I use this? It's a black thing. I'm too old. You're too old because you've told yourself too old. And you know what? Nowadays, you don't even have to be part of a class. The greatest university in the world is right in front of you. All you need to do is don't go and do pay as you go. Get YouTube. Type in something. Someone's doing it already. Some, they don't even speak English. Just watch them. Watch them. My mom laughs when I tell her I'm doing sewing classes. She goes, you hate the sewing machine. What made me go out and buy a sewing machine? I had an outfit. It was either too big or too small, one of them. I can't remember. And I took it to the dry cleaners and she said £9 this side. No, it was too big. So I wanted to take it in. £18 to take in something. That's the day I brought my first sewing machine. So I'm saying to you guys, I've learned one thing. I've learned to see people for what they are and not who I want them to be. You understand? There are, listen, in your lifetime, there are going to be users. They will come, they will use you. But you know what? Why they're using you, you're gaining skills. Because you know what? They'll do it once, you won't allow it to happen again. One thing I've also known is knowing, knowledge is not knowing what you say. Wisdom is knowing when to say it. You understand? I've got a couple of quotes here. Another thing too is what you consume your mind to, what you consume your mind controls your life. If I ask Irene where she is now with Ebony Ambassadors, when she started, she wasn't there. It takes time. You understand? It takes time. And on your journey, people are going to disappoint you. Be prepared for that. If everything is given to you on a golden plate, you won't value it. You won't value it. And I don't know if I've got time, but one thing I always say to people, the day you plant this, the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit. You understand? So when you start something, 805 has planted that seed in their house. I'll use KFC as an example. KFC is, Connell is dead, gone, is 18 something. But KFC, the family, till this world comes to an end. But he started off going from door to door. Walt Disney, is it Walt Disney? I think it is Walt Disney. Either Walt Disney or Disneyland, one of them. I think it's Walt Disney. It's Walt Disney. When he started, he said to the bank, he went to his bank manager and said, I want to build heaven on earth. And the bank manager laughed at him. That's what he had in his mind. But to another person, it didn't make sense. Whoever's been to Disney World can see what it is. Now, in our community, we've been looked down on. We are classed. I found a clip the other day, yesterday actually, that who wants to be a black person. These was a group in Canada. There's a program screening in Canada at the moment saying this black woman said, ask all her colleagues who are Caucasian people, who would like to live in the shoes of a black person. I don't know if anyone's seen that. It was on TikTok too. It was all over the place. And they couldn't say. And one person said, I wouldn't want to. And this is the life we're living. We're being mean to each other. As a black person, we're mean to each other. We go by tribe. Where are you from? Africa? Oh, you're Caribbean? No. Come on. I don't care where you're from. People who have attended my class, I don't do race. I don't care if you're white, black, Asian. One lady said to me, she'll come and learn training if I convert to be a Muslim. I said, I'm sorry, but the door is open. You can come and join us. Why should I have a condition on what I should do before you come and join what you want to learn from me? So I'm sorry. I feel like we have to learn to listen.
Mindset.
Yeah. Learn to listen to each other. As Sister Victoria is there, I'll share some things with her. She'll share things. We'll correct each other. This is where you did wrong. This is where I went wrong. This is and I'll tell you my experience. So please, I think somebody's yawning, so maybe I'm talking too much. So let me keep quiet now. But feel free if you've got any questions. One thing I also said, anger doesn't solve anything. It builds nothing and destroys everything. So at that moment when somebody's offended you and you're so angry, it's just gonna, if you cannot control your anger, people will see you as that, and that's what they're gonna label you for. So please, when you don't see somebody, don't make an assumption because you had a go at them. Maybe that person is sick. Check up on each other. And it takes time for people to open up. And when they're telling you they're going through stuff, don't say you're casting everything out. Just listen. not everything we have to cast out. Sometimes if you want to cast out in the corner of your room, but not knowing. When one of my friends had cancer and she was passing away, we knew she was losing weight. The moment you walk into that hospital and you say, oh my God, you've lost a lot of weight, she'll go, excuse me, I just want to use the toilet. Do you mind stepping outside? You're stepping outside and you're not coming back inside that room again. That's it. And I'm not going to tell you not to say it. But when you already see that this person has lost weight, you have to remind them. They don't. Or maybe you see that the person has a swollen stomach. Why is your stomach swollen now? She can see. She's not well. Don't remind them about what can I do to help you? Who's dropping off the kids? You know what? I'll pick them up on, you can only offer one day. I'll pick them up. I had somebody who will come around and bring just food to my children. That's just helping out. You don't have to be involved in their medical care, but you can say to, you know what, regarding the children, when you're cooking rice for yourself, cook for her own children and bring it round. Irene, I think I've spoken too much, so I'm going to stop here.
Thank you so much, Abby and Fam. Yeah, I can see a hand up. That's from Joyce Osayede, Pastor Joyce. I don't know if you want to contribute, but give me 1 minute. Once again, I want to say thank you, Abby and Fam. What you said is really, really heavy, overwhelming, and I know we've learned 1 or 2 things from her speech. I really wanted her to share a story. You might be wondering why cancer, why we're talking about skills and acquisition and emotional well-being. I know how acquiring skills helped her during that time of the cancer treatment and all those stuff. She did not, she's not one of those people that wants to do skills. She just finds herself doing skill and how therapeutic it was for her. And it kept her going in the sense that when she doesn't even take her medication, she does not feel it because she was doing something with her hand. So that's where the cancer comes in. But even at that, you've really like educated us on what we should also look out for and how to look out for other persons. When you see somebody that is ill, it's not for you to be asking, oh, your eyes is red. When you're seeing that the eyes is red, why still saying that the eyes is red? And I think that's why so many people don't speak out and they don't even want you to come around them. Personally, I lost someone to cancer. And if I relate to what Abby and Fam is saying, is because of what people will say. I was very close to her that I could be one of the persons that would have even go to see her, but she just generalized everybody like we might not take it the way it is. So that is how she passed on. So going back to what I picked for today's lesson is that for our emotional well-being, please, we should stop throwing that pity directly to the people. You can go out later, pity the person, but try to be will I use the word compassionate, try to show some empathy, like what can you do? As Abby and Fam said, in terms of, can I help you with something? Can I pick the children for you? What do you need? Should I buy you food when I'm coming? Anything that you think you can do, talk about more positive things than pitying the person as the person is going through whatever situation they are going through. So once again, I want to thank you, Abby, for that contribution. You're really on time. We appreciate, because not everybody will share their experience as you've shared with us today. So thank you so much for that. If there's any question, it's question time, please. If you want to speak, I will allow Pastor Joyce to speak because her hand is up. But if you have any question you want to speak as well, please raise your hand up or drop message on the chat, which we'll read out as well. So over to you, Pastor Joyce Osayede.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry, I will be unable to put my camera at the moment. Well, I want to thank Sister Abby for what she have shared, and Sister Vicky as well. It's very informative. I just want to quickly comment about some points that Sister Abby made about people over spiritualizing things. As a pastor, I just want to quickly comment on that.
Okay.
I agree with her to an extent, because sometimes people end up blaming God for things that God is not actually responsible for. The reason for that is we have part to play as Christians, and God have his own part to play. So sometimes people don't know when to draw that line however we look at it, God is still number one in everything we do. But at the same time, there are times where we need to take action. But I believe that's where Sister Abe was, highlighting for us. Where we need to do something, we need to do that rather than there are things we need to do ourselves. That's the best way I can put it. So I don't, it's very sensitive and I don't want to say things that people will misunderstand. So it's very important for us to be able to draw that line, knowing when we need to do what we need to do and knowing when we need to actually, leave things to God. When you don't know you can't, the Bible says you should stand. So people actually sometimes over spiritualize a lot of things when they should actually be taking action and doing something or taking the step that they need to take. And when they don't get the result outcome, then they turn around to blame God. Whereas that responsibility was not actually on God, but on them to take action. The Bible says, I will just round up here so that I don't go on preaching this evening. The Bible said that faith without work is death. So that's the scripture we use to conclude that for us. But in a nutshell, it's important that we know when to draw that line. But however, God is still the ultimate number one. I will leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Pastor Joyce. I don't know, Abby, if you want to comment on that.
You know what? I would like to say one thing. Pastor Joyce, I would love to speak to you off camera. Honestly speaking, okay. I would love to speak to you off camera. And the reason why I do this, I also let pastors also know some of the things they do that is wrong. I'm not perfect, but I've seen it. And what we try and do, but that's off camera, not there.
Okay.
I think we give you my number. So you can
Well, what I will add to what Pastor Joyce said.
I'm not completely against what you said, but at the same time, there are times where we need to actually, there are situations where people have done everything, for example, and there is no hope. The doctor have given up on them. So the only hope is God. Example, some part of Africa, they don't have medical care, so they hope in God and they receive their healing. But it's just not something we can generalize. It depends on the situation that individual may find themselves. But however, while we are seeking medical attention or doing all we need to do, but we still have to back this in prayer. But I'm not saying that people should spiritualize everything, no.
Okay, I agree to that. Thank you very much, Pastor Joyce. As Abby and Fam said, she will speak to you off camera. I would like to add one or two things to what Pastor Joyce just said. Is like where you are to take your medication, you say you want to fast. A friend of mine was fasting and she almost fainted. Like now she don't do dry fasting anymore. She at least take water when she's fasting. So in all, we should not overdo things, both religion and what the doctor is saying. Some people will have headache. They say take one tablet, they want to take two because they want it to work very fast. So there's a lot to learn today. We'll bring Pastor Joyce sometime for us to share more on Christianity and
that would be lovely. I mean, I wouldn't mind to do that.
I know. So once again, do we have any question? I can see someone wrote on the chat says, thanks for being real, my sister. So truly, Abby and Fam really shared a lot. Like she didn't put putting her life experience there just for us to learn something from it. So thank you so much for opening up to share that with us. As I said, today's topic still remains skills acquisition and emotional well-being. So we said, I personally wanted her to share her story because I know what she's passed through and what the skills she acquired while in that pain has brought her to where she is today. She's, I would say, she's been diagnosed of cancer 13 years ago and she's still living. So it's not a death sentence. If that's only what we'll take home today, just know
Irene,
yeah?
I forgot to say something.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things I would like to say to people is like, even if you're not creative, but there's something like, how like people from River State in Nigeria, they have this kind of hat that they wear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the wedding, and there's a red one too they wear. I did those. I learned it. online. I went when I was in Lagos. I went out and bought that one. I did that one, the red one. So what I'm trying to say to people is that you might not be good. This one is just gluing, making a hat and gluing it on. So you might not be good at your hands by doing stuff, but you can just put this together. You can take a tribe out of the 36 states in Nigeria, if you're Nigerian or wherever you come from, and then just create something out of that. And before you know, it's in demand in Europe, and people get to know you. I just wanted to add that. And if you need help on a direction, Irene has my details.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you so much. Another hand is raised up. I will give you, in the next 5 minutes, we'll be leaving here. Sorry, we're supposed to leave here 8:30, but while we're here, I know we've learned a lot. Over to you, Kate. Unmute yourself, please.
Hi, everyone.
Hi there.
Good evening, Auntie Abby and Auntie Vicky. So I know people might just think, right, Auntie Abby, Auntie Vicky, they are teachers and Ebony and Fam. But I just wanted to let guys know that I've been a student of Auntie Vicky's and I've been a student of Auntie Abby's, right? And when I wrote out there that skill acquisition, crafting is therapeutic, I meant it. I just recently got off a miscarriage. I had a miscarriage when I went to Auntie Abby to learn how to make beads. I was down at home, not doing anything. And then my husband went, you need to find something doing. So I called Auntie Vicky, because Auntie Vicky taught me how to sew. I called Auntie Vicky and she was like, I'll give you Auntie Abby's number. Go there and learn how to do beads. And going to learn how to make beads with Auntie Abby, I ended up talking about what was going on with me. It wasn't just beads. So every session we'll make beads, but there was someone that I was talking to, a woman that understood. And she always say to me, don't worry, Kate, I will carry your baby with my 2 hands. Don't worry, and there was a day I was making beads and this was one simple start. Auntie Abby says it's simple, but for me, it wasn't. It wasn't because I wasn't paying attention. My mind was all over the place. I had a hospital appointment before, so everything was just going up. But I realized that while we're making beads, we're gisting, we're chatting, we're laughing. Those few hours we spent was really, really healthy, was good for me. So when I come back home, I'm like, oh, look at what I learned and look at what I learned and all the rest of it. It took away all that staying at home and staring at the 4 walls of the house. It took away all that point of you think that there's something wrong with you or you're broken, sadness or depression and all that. You have something you're doing and you have something you're looking forward to do. So yeah, thank God now I have a baby. I had to go and show Auntie Abby the other day. So just for you guys to know, I brought him to her. So I was like, Auntie Abby, here, you say you're gonna carry him one day. Here you go. So it's not only, just learning skills. You meet people, they help you. I'm sorry, I know I just wanted to come and say this because it's easier for us to sit down and say, yes, Ebony, Abby and Fam, Auntie Vicky, Dewey's Creation, they are teachers. But I just wanted to let you guys know that I have been a product of both Auntie Vicky and Auntie Abby as a student. And not only did I learn skills, I also learned life lessons that helped me. And I've been making beads and I've been selling them. So just so you guys know, it's more than just making crafts and stuff, it's therapy. Since we don't know how, Black people don't really know how to go to therapy sessions and sit down with psychologists and let them know our problem, and we can do it this way.
It's not only this that you're doing, you have been doing other things.
Oh,
I've been doing other things, but yeah,
anything you can think of. So it's holistic.
With my t-shirts and printing and all the rest of it, yeah, but it started that way.
Oh, well done. And you didn't even add that you've actually volunteered at one of our workshops.
Exactly. Not even one time.
I can remember that at Bontok. Oh, wow. Well done. Well done. Congratulations to I didn't even know that you now had a baby. Congratulations. Is it a boy or a girl?
It's a boy.
Oh, congratulations. Congratulations again.
Old.
So thank you for sharing your experience. As we said, Abby and Fam is always available. Even Vicky is always available. I am also available. I have a lot of skills empowerment facilitators that are willing to take you on if you really want to acquire a skill. As we said, we are centered on craft. So any craft from beading, sewing, makeup, rhinestone embellishment, there are people I can signpost you to help. I will give this lady, because she's the first to join today, or one of the first person to join, for her to say, I know we're running out of time, but if you want to leave, you're free to leave, but let me just hear her out. Rosie, unmute yourself and over to you, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate that. I want to commend Sister Abby, for sharing her life experience. It takes God to actually do that. And I really appreciate God for her life, and I'm happy for her as well. I was the one that wrote, "Thanks for being real." It really makes a lot of sense to me. She said a lot. Being real, we should I believe in God of reality. Most people, they go to church, but they actually forgetting something about being real. It goes both ways. It could be external and internal. Internal is about us. They were talking about when somebody is ill, they will tell you, we'll pray for you and all that. Yes, encourage the person to take paracetamol, see the GP, go to medical examination, and you follow it up with prayers at your own time. When I'm not with the person, when you get home, you just pray, God, please help this sister. Help her. Whatever treatment she's undergoing right now, let that thing go through with her. And we want healing and deliverance. It also applies to us as well as an individual. Most people don't believe in reality. They actually live in Klakugu land. It's just like looking for a job. Somebody will tell you, oh, God will do it. Which God will do it? When you do not leave your house in the morning, or upgrade your CV, or do something that will make you get a job, God will not do it. He said, manners will not come from heaven. God will not come to your house and just give you a job. He wants you to go out there and search for it, and He will bless the job and bless somebody to help you with that job. He sends an angel through each and every one of us to help individual. So that was why I said she really touched the point, not just, we're talking about the craft and how we can help ourselves emotionally, which is really good. But at the same time, I just looked outside the box that what she said was real. She actually touched every aspect, and I really appreciate her for that. That's what I wanted to say or share with you guys.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We appreciate it. There's a comment I would like to read. God gave manna from heaven. Is still at work. Still listen to God for yourself. Yeah, we agree to that. We need to pray when we need to pray, and we need to take our medication when we need to take our medication. And I pray that we'll have more understanding to what we've discussed today. If you want to speak to Abby, I can share her number with you if you want to speak to Auntie Victoria Sane, and if you want to speak to Pastor Joyce on the platform, I can share her number with you as well. Once again, I want to thank everyone for coming. We appreciate you all. As I said at the beginning, this program, we started it 2 years ago with funding from the Big Lottery Fund.
Me back. There's always something that I keep on hearing, even though my dad is not like the fire brand, this thing, but there were certain values that they had put in us from childhood that have carried me up to that point that makes me feel like I know where I'm coming from. I cannot disappoint these people. No, I cannot afford these people to see me in this light. So those values and those and they were unconscious. They were unconsciously deposited in us. Not that it was they will tell you, oh, you must do this, you must not do this, you must do this, you must not. We're not raised like that. We're just shown a path. There were certain ways my dad lived his life. There were certain ways my mom lived, and my siblings, that made me realize that, like that unconscious learning. So they were not faking it to make me or giving explicit instructions. So I feel like the scripture is just giving light, so that in the home it must be done unconsciously. when you try to set the rules, oh, you must study your Bible. Yes, you must study, but if the child does not see you do it, then they don't do it, because it just feels like you're issuing out instructions and you're not following those instructions. How the Bible puts it, that these people draw near with me with their lips, but their heart is far away from me. Please, 1 minute. Let me just put my baby down. She's sleeping now.
It's okay.
Thank you. So I'm back. Yeah. So I just feel like it's just one of those things. Like when I was looking at the outline, these were the things that were just running. There's anything in my head like, okay, this is it. If you're gonna live this life of Christ, you must do it whereby you're living it and people are taking examples from you. It just I'll just give this example of Cassandra, the pastor. Most times when we came, my sister and my wife's cousin was telling us that, oh, the way the country is upside down, the way the Bible explains it, of how the father, the mother, and the children. We said in this country, it's the children, the mother, then the father. Is the way system is. So he said, if you're not active in playing a participating role in the life of your children, they'll go away from you. You will not be able to handle them. So when I look at it, I say, okay. But when I see how John, Phoebe are active in church, I feel like, oh, this is an example. It can work. It can work. I don't have to see 10 examples for it to work. I just need to see one working. Then I believe that, okay, God is still active in the life of the children in the UK. So that is an example that I've just seen. I might have not come close to you to see how you live internally, but I don't see like fear or see like, oh, they say you must come to church. You don't come to church. You will not get your next birthday gift or something like it's not there. You just see the children want to serve, and that is the example that the Bible is just trying. It starts from the home, then it shows out without doing it. Then I think the next part talks about the church. Saying the church sacrificial service to God in dedicated ministry callings follows our successful connection to God in salvation. The complete dedication to service is expected. Please do not judge success in ministry by the size of that labor. Focus on investing all the might and grace given to you into the supposedly small labor that you have been assigned to. What you need is the acceptance of God in your life, your home, and in His labor in your hand. Little is much when God is in it. I think that's very key. Say little is much when God is in it, says the song right now. So I think this is just straightforward, just in the workers meeting today, it is called volunteering service here, but we must understand that is what it is. God will not come and force you and say you must serve. It's just volunteering service, and that's how personally I've always seen it from the point that if I have a father and I'm living in my parents' house, I don't need anybody to tell me to sweep. I don't need anybody to tell me to take the plates and wash it when it's dirty. It's the same way if we see God as our Father and see His house wherever we find ourselves. I might be attending a different church in Nigeria, but coming here, this is where I found myself. It is still my Father's house. It's just a different location of my Father's house. And when I see it and I found like there's a need, then I must to respond to that need to the best of the ability that God has given you. If you can sing and you find yourself then join the choir. You might not be the best, but if you give yourself to learning and building, somebody will put a little on that you have and fine tune it to the point where it becomes great. So that is my own personal mindset, and I think it just captures it that it is sacrificial. It is sacrificial. Most times, like when we came in, I could not spend most of the time I want to spend in church, and it was affecting me. But after sorting out some certain things that we needed to sort out, then I could now give out my own time and say, okay, Saturday, Sunday, I don't want to work anymore. Now that I've cleared a little backlog of what I have, and I have enough time, I can do what I want in church. If you have someone who has grown up, all you have is God. Then in the community, please bear in mind that most of the colleagues and acquaintances in the community around us are carriers of natural life as opposed to the Christ life which a child of God carries. A believer should be the sample, the specimen of the true spiritual life in God, life in the spirit. All eyes are watching and all hearts are yearning for our manifestation. Romans 8:18-25. I think we can open that because we stopped at 18 earlier. So let us read 18-25. Romans 8:25. For I reckon that suffering of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature waited for the manifestation of the sons of God. For the creature was made subject to vanity, not willingly, but by reason of him who has subjected the same in hope. Verse 21, because the creature itself also shall be delivered from the bondage of corruption into the glorious liberty of the children of God. Verse 22 says, for we know that the whole creation groaneth and travaileth in pain together until now, and not only they, but ourselves also, which are the first fruits of the Spirit, even we ourselves groan within ourselves, waiting for the adoption, to wait the redemption of our body. For we are saved by hope. For hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man seeth, why doth he yet hope for? Verse 25. But if we hope for that we see not, then do we with patience wait for it. I think the key verse that relates to where we're reading talks about for the expectation of the creature, waited for the manifestations of the sons of God. I was reading earlier today where it said sons take instructions. Sons takes instructions from God. Why children do not take instruction? Children, they always want. But sons always want to give back. There was a time I wrote one short piece that there are two types of Christians. There are those who send requests into heaven, and there are those who take requests from heaven. So sons take requests from heaven. Just go back to the right. You see in the community, so we are specimen. A Christian who is not diligent at work and who gets into trouble with the authorities of bad behavior is not an ambassador of the realm of heaven here on earth. He or she needs to go back to Calvary in deep repentance so that they can be renewed to be a true spirit-led child of God and a true specimen of heaven in the community. I think this also goes back to just shows that, like the Bible says, if we need to be specimen, if we have received that life, when they saw the disciples, they said these ones they have been with Christ, because Jesus Christ said to them, I've called this one so that first they will first be with me. After they have been with me, then I can now send them out. So the essence of another Christianity and receiving Christ is that we will be with him first. Then when we have been with him, then he will rub us on us, then we will now be like him. Then when we are like him and in the community, then we can now shine forth that light that is radiating that we have received when Jesus Christ was going, he said, I will send another comforter. He said, he will not speak of himself, he will speak of that which he hears in his ears. So over the Holy Spirit, who those that are led by him are called the sons of God, does not do his own thing. He only speaks that which he hears. So for us also, we to be specimens that are carrying Christ in the community, our ears must be open also. Jesus Christ gave the same example also in, I think, John 5:19 and 30, when he talks about said, I cannot myself do nothing, but as I hear, that I do. So I just
Thank you so much, Peter. That was really good, and yeah, so much for us to be able to take from there and to share tomorrow. Any other additions to what we've talked about in this outline? Otherwise, we go on to next outline too. Okay, all right. Well.